All right. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carl Peterson. I am the Partnerships Manager for the Charter Cities Institute, and I would like to welcome you all to our digital roundtable. Today, we have our first mini Catapult with Enyimba Economic City and small farm cities. Effectively, today, what we will do is we'll do a brief round of introductions. Enyimba Economic City will have about 10 minutes to provide their presentation on their project so far. We'll have up to 20 minutes of discussion. After that, Small Farm Cities will go ahead and present their project, once again followed by some time for discussion. We'll have some concluding remarks and announcements. So with that, I think we'll start with some introductions. I think we'll start with the CCI team and then our partner at AFIDA. And so I will go ahead and have Mwanda Piri. Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
Thanks, Carl, and good morning, good afternoon to everyone. My name is Mwanda Piri, Africa Lead for CCI, based in the Lusaka, Zambia office.
Can I go ahead and get Jeff Mason?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jeffrey Mason. I'm CCI's Research Manager.
And we'll have Tommy Thompson go ahead and introduce himself.
Hey, I'm Tommy Thompson. I'm a researcher at CCI.
John Hoyt.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Hoyt, Head of Operations.
We'll go ahead and have Simioti.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nagamino Simioti, and I'm an intern at CCI.
Vivek.
Good morning, good afternoon all. Vivek Mittal from AFIDA Africa.
Awesome. I think we'll have Dr. Brooks. You go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Good morning, everybody from Minneapolis, Minnesota, USA. My name is Dr. Chris Brooks. I am a managing partner at Brown Venture Group and a partner at Africans United.
Garrett, would you please introduce yourself?
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Garrett Gish. I'm the CEO for U.S. International Finance Partners based in Houston.
Arnaud, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Yes, hi, everyone. My name is Arnaud. I work at the European Bank for Construction and Development, and more precisely for a program called Green Cities.
Awesome. Reka, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Reka from AFIDA. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Olufemi. Olufemi, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Badijo Olufemi. I'm the trade officer for the Nigerian British Chamber of Commerce.
Great, awesome. And then, of course, now it's going to lead us to our two projects. We'll do John Van Den Heuvel can introduce himself, and then we'll move on to Enyimba. So, John.
Yeah, hi, John Van Den Heuvel. I'm founder, CEO of Small Farm Cities, also a senior advisor to Charter Cities for Africa.
Great. And we'll hear from John later. And so now we will turn to our first project. Dr. Darrell, please introduce yourself, and then go ahead and like me to share the presentation.
Carl, if you missed out Steve Wanyeri.
Oh, my apologies, Steve. Let's turn to you real fast. And then after Steve, also it looks like I missed Nadia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Steve Wanyiri. Just curious to know what's happening.
Great. Nadia?
Hi, sir.
My name is Nadia Zaini. I'm dialing in from Ghana. We have recently developed a fund where we're financing mainly in equity, 200. Hi guys, I'm sorry about that. Anyway, we're interested in smart cities, and we're developing one of them right now ourselves, and we will be joining the rest of charter cities in Rwanda in a few weeks. Thanks.
Awesome, great. And then it looks like we just had Alpha Berry pop in. Alpha, would you introduce yourself real fast?
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Alpha, founder of Temple Cities. We're planning a 2,000-acre project currently in Abuja, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Great. Now with that, my apologies, Dr. Darrell. Let's have you go ahead and go.
Right. Thank you, Carl. My name is Dal Uzu. I am the lead developer for a very ambitious project in Nigeria. It's called Enyimba Economic City. And we want it to be a global business hub in Nigeria. And that byline means that there are things we need to do. Next, please. This thing is this way. Nigeria should be the manufacturing capital of Africa because everything is almost right. We have a very big market, 200 million people, and we have cross-border West Africa that's about 450. We have very educated young population, so labor is cheap. We have raw materials. Everything you make in the world comes from two sources, naturally occurring and agricultural. So we have a mineral map is scandalous, and we have arable land. But we're not doing that because of the problem with most African countries. We don't have infrastructure, and we don't have the things that make it right to make things. So if you draw from experiences of other countries like Russia, China, they created safe spaces. That's what Charter City is, actually. You create safe spaces. The regulation is different. The infrastructure, the things that make that place efficient for doing whatever you want to do. So that's what we're creating here. But we are not looking at just manufacturing, because most of the new cities in Africa, if you want to do that, you can't create them as global business places. You won't bring people. You can't bring manufacturing transfers. You can't bring transfers in other businesses because there are things that support business. Logistics have to be there. You know, you have to have very good healthcare. You have to have entertainment. You have to have lifestyle residential, and you have to create logistics that allows you to come into the place, in the country, on the road, bring things by sea, and bring things by air. So what you're doing essentially is like you're building another country. You have to do that if you want it to work well in Africa. So size becomes very important. So we're building this on 9,464 hectares of land. And like I've said, we want it to be a global business hub in Nigeria. Next, listen. Next. So this is the growth sectors we have identified. We're doing half of that almost in manufacturing, which is the anchor driver. We have the logistics on 755 hectares of land. It's a logistics that will probably divide the logistics of Nigeria into two. The one for the south, the one for the west. Right now, the logistics almost happens from Lagos, and we are looking at that, and there are opportunities, great opportunities in that. You have the value enhancers. Like I said, you can't bring manufacturing transfers. You can't bring manufacturing businesses internationally into a place where you don't have condition that allows businesses to function the way they will function somewhere else that they are used to. Milianco, residential township, support components, the commercial, retail, and hospitality, then the footfall drivers, entertainment, and recreation, and we have aviation. Next, next. So this is what we have done. We have built this on 8 pillars. So everything we're doing in conception, execution, and all that are anchored on these 8 pillars. One pillar is connection. That's where the infrastructure comes in. We're going to do connection that allows us to connect 60 million of Nigeria, 11 states, into a 90 minutes driving distance. You'll see what we have done with that. And we're going to do connection that will allow us to connect the whole Nigerian market. We'll see what we've done with that. The regional markets, and we have to get into the African Continental Free Trade and global markets. That's one. The second one that brings us to infrastructure is we have to do world-class infrastructure here. Like I said, you have to build a safe space. You can't do business here, no matter what you're doing, in a place where you're not going to have 24-hour power. You will not have fast internet, whether broadband or satellite. You will not have proper logistics and so on. So you will see what we have done with that. Those are two main infrastructure things that will come into the discussion we're holding today. Because if I'm right, we're talking about the infrastructure side of new cities in Africa. Go on. Next page. Now, this is what we have done. If you look at the red line is a 200-kilometer highway, and it connects 5 states of Nigeria. And the blue line is a 161-kilometer highway. It connects 6 states of Nigeria. Sorry, 5 states of Nigeria. Now, what we are doing again, we're building a green line. It's an 86-kilometer highway. Now, the red one, we have taken concession from the federal government. The blue one, we have taken concession again from federal government, 25-year concession. We're going to rebuild those roads, and we're going to build the green one completely new. They're going to be all tolled roads. So on the whole, we're talking about 200 plus 161 plus 86 external fence infrastructure we're doing. The next page. Now, this is what it gives us. This is the Nigeria. You have their states. We have Bayelsa, Rivers, Abia, Enugu, and Ebonyi. Is connected on that A3, the red line. Then Imo, Anambra, Delta, and Edo is connected on the blue line. Then we're building the pink from Akwa Ibom to Imo. If we do that, this is what we have done. We've connected Bayelsa, Rivers, Abia, Enugu, Ebonyi on the red line. We have connected Cross River, Akwa Ibom, Imo, Delta, and Edo on the blue line. So we have the first ring is a 50-kilometer radius on the new city we're building. The second is 100. The third is 150. So we have connected 60 million. Next. Okay, no. We have connected 60 million population of Nigeria with more than 13 million of it that are urban centers, existing urban centers. Now, this is important for new cities in Africa. If you want to do a new city as a standalone, it becomes difficult. But if you want to pull population on existing cities into the new listing, you are likely going to create, rapid growth. And we have experimented on that. Now, this is the connection we're doing on national level. We're building rail. The line on the left goes into a port, Port Harcourt Port. Yeah, it goes into Port Harcourt Port. We're building 14-kilometer rail on the right, on the right, yes, on we're building 14-kilometer rail on that, and this is the national rail corridor. We call it Eastern Line. That line goes to Kafancha and turns at Zaria, goes to Kano, comes back to Oshogbo and Lagos. On the other side, it goes to Maiduguri. So what we intend to do is that we have an OD, we have ordinary origin and destination, full origin and destination inland port in the new city. We want to connect these rails, and that's where the major activities of logistics will happen at Enyimba. Anything you are exporting goes out from Enyimba. That's where the custom activity takes place. Anything you are bringing in is on transit until it gets to Enyimba. In fact, we did this with Royal Haskoning of Netherlands. And we are trying to attract DP World. We have had 2 meetings with DP World to attract them into this. This changes the logistics, and we're reserving 755 hectares of land just for that logistics. It's extremely important for the place to be a manufacturing center and to be a major distribution center from the south of Nigeria to the rest of Nigeria and to West Africa. Go on. Yeah, so this is this thing. If you look at the logistics inland ports, we have that. You see, as the intersection of those major 2 roads we are talking about, the one we are building, the 86-kilometer and the A3, and that's the rail. And those rails goes into Port Harcourt Port. The green line is the new one we're building 40 kilometers into One Port. So we are covered on national markets. Go on. Yeah, that's the presentation. Go on. I have 10 minutes. Okay. Now we have no. Go back to the airport.
Airport.
Yeah. Yes. Now we have an international airport in the place again that completes intermodal logistics. We're coming in on land, we're coming in by sea, and we're coming in by air into this city. So these are major infrastructural developments, and some of them are ongoing at design, some of them are different stages. Go on. Okay, this place will have to have world-class infrastructure. We're doing this in phases. We're doing the phase 1 now, and the phase 1 we just closed on the financing last Tuesday, August 22nd, with Afrexim Bank. It went through the second level of the CRECO credit committee. It's gone through the first. The due diligence has lasted for 2 years, really. So we just closed on the financing. We're going to the board. It's just a formality. We are hoping that in the next fortnight, 2 weeks and all that, we should have completely closed on the financing. So we're doing, the power demand for this phase is really 292 megawatt of power for the phase we are doing. But what we did with power is that we entered into partnership with a power company that has a ring fence for the state of Abia, where the project is domiciled. And we have done a PPA agreement for 90 megawatts from the gas powered this they have already. So we're going to start with that. And we have another agreement with them. There is another plant at the perimeter of the city. It's really a 1008, but we are doing the first 504 gas plants. because this city is on a gas bed. In fact, the gas won't be more than 5 kilometers to get into this, because it's the gas capital of the area of the Southeast. So that discussion was with what's the name? Orascom of Egypt and GEC for the 504. Now we're taking water from the two rivers. We have the Imo River, we have Azumili Blue River. We're taking water from them. We're doing intake. Right now, we identified one intake from Imo, and we're going to do first module of treatment for 627 megawatt of power per day. That's our power need for the first phase of the basin. And we're going to build a sewage treatment plant that can handle up to 43 cubic meter per day. The solid waste, the projection is 212. We're not building this thing for solid waste now. We're going to do landfill with the government at the first phase. We have identified, the landfill, and we're going to do excavation because we're going to use the sand, the filling sand for most of the works we're going to do in civil work. And we're doing integration, information integration, communication. We're doing an NOC, network, what we call network operating system. In fact, we're building an Android for a city. That journey we started with double GDP. That company was introduced to us by Charter Cities Institute, right? And it's a company, a subsidiary of GitLab. But after 1 year, I don't know what happened. Either they sold the company, the double GDP and all that, but they gave us the soft code. So we're building across Nigeria and across Africa. We have software engineers in Uganda, we have in Kenya, we have in Lagos, we have in this thing. We have some people in the US who have built about 23 sprints. Right now, we have completed the sprint that allows us to register businesses. And we have integrated that to our regulatory agency, NEPSA. So if people are coming into our city now, you can fill your business form, fill your this, and get your business registered online. So we finished that. We've done security. We have done neighborhood. We built first CRM, and we're using the CRM for our marketing efforts. We're doing marketing. We had 3 locations before. We have expanded that. China, India, Indonesia, and Japan. Okay, we had in Europe at the time, right? But that wasn't yielding much. We just shut it down after some months. So that's this thing for first phase. For next phase, the total, Okay, that's for first phase. You didn't bring for this. Okay, is this for total? Okay, that's total. We should need about 1,080 megawatt of power. That's the one I'm talking about. And about 309 cubic meter of water per day, about 217 waste treatments, 924 for solid waste. We'll be thinking about how we deal with solid waste at that time. Our network, we'll keep building that out. We'll be adding on. What we're doing is that some of the things we need, we're not building, we're buying and just integrating into our own Android. We're just building an Android for a city. That's essentially what we're doing with the NOC. We're hoping that we should be able to launch these projects early next year. We need to do a very elaborate preparation for this. And that's what is important for projects of this nature. You have to let the world know about it. You have to let the country know about it. So we're making a very big preparation, and it's going to take some little time for us to get it right. We have to bring the Charter Cities Institute has to come. World Free Zone Organization, which you're a member, has to come. African Automobile, our own president has to be there. We have to bring at least another African president. We have to bring a diplomatic this thing. Unfortunately, the government is involved in this project. It's a PPP, which we are leading with the state government where it is domiciled and the federal government of Nigeria. So the federal government, the last government, in fact, sent 39 letters to Nigerian missions around the world to say this project must be supported. So we have that goodwill among missions, from everywhere in the world. And fortunately, our ambassador in Germany, who has been helping us with this project in Germany for maybe more than 2-3 years, has just recently been appointed the Minister for Foreign Affairs. So we're in a good place in the FDI drive. As a matter of fact, by Tuesday next week, we are going to India with him. I'm going to India with a few of my teams with him because we have very good prospects in India. We have probably more than 50-something leads in India, and more than 40 has turned to opportunity, So we want to go and start closing deals now that we have reached financial close. So I don't have too much time, unless you allow me more. That's essentially what I can say about the project for the little time I have. We're excited about where we are and what we're trying to do. Yeah, thank you, Carl.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Dr. Darrell. And I guess I'd like to open up the floor for questions that we can direct at Dr. Darrell.
How much time do we have for questions?
About 10 more minutes.
Okay. Unless somebody else wants to go, I have a whole list. I could take the entire 10 minutes, but
I have a singular question, just one question for Dr. Darrell.
Okay.
So good morning from Minnesota, Dr. Darrell.
Good morning.
My name's Dr. Chris Brooks. I'm a senior advisor to the Nigerian Diaspora Investment Summit. We're trying to drive direct foreign investment into Nigeria. And one of the questions I've got for you is, in terms of the scope of the project, are you seeking additional partners in terms of either financing and or actual project components, or is everything pretty well on its way? And if so, then what type of support do you need?
Now, as we are now, the first phase, we're almost done. We have selected the EPC, and we are at the stage where we should implement. But that doesn't mean that we won't take partners. If it depends on what the partner is bringing on the table. It depends on whether on the first phase, subsequent phase. The second phase is the medical city. We finished the study. KPMG is doing the study. We finished the study. They're doing the business case. We want a lot of partners. In fact, I was trying to see if I can talk to like John Hopkins, Harvard Medical School. Those are places where I have small relationships to say, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to do a different kind of a thing, comprehensive health city. And we're working with KPMG Nigeria and KPMG India. They have some reasonable experience in what we want to do. We're not closing partnership, depending on what the partner is bringing on the table. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
And one question before Vivek goes. I work with Serengeti Energy. My name is Steve Wanyiri. I wanted to know the plan around the power supply that you have, and whether you have partners working with you, and whether also there is need for, if I understood correctly, the power supply is from gas. if
Yes.
you have need for renewable energy, other renewable energy sources. Yeah, just that. Thanks.
Thank you. You know, Nigeria is an oil producing country, and we have more gas than oil, really. So we are going to use gas for some time, but that does not mean that we can't do renewable for, you know, for targeted uses. Like we're building a hospital, we're doing this schools and all that, because we have an educational city. Those things we can, but right now, our concentration is on gas turbines. And the one we have done is geometric power. The promoter of geometric used to be the power minister for Nigeria. In fact, he is a known robotics engineer. He was in UMass, University of Massachusetts, you know, Professor Batnage is a very famous robotic engineer. He has an independent power generation. In fact, a full utility company. He does the generation, the distribution, and the marketing. And it's the only one in Nigeria because, you know, the way power business is structured in Nigeria, it becomes very complex. Somebody generates, somebody buys, somebody distributes. So he's the only one that has that license and is for ring-fenced area of Abia, which includes the Enyimba Economic City. So we're working with them. They are going to bring power to Enyimba to fence, but we are going to distribute inside. That's the arrangement we have for power right now. Yeah, did I answer the question?
Looks like Steve is happy with the answer. Vivek, I believe you have a question.
I think Raika wanted to go before. Raika-san, please.
Yes, thank you, Vivek-san, and thank you very much, Mr. Wudu, for the presentation. My name is Reika, and I used to work for Japanese commercial banks, so I'm very interested in the contributions made by Japanese companies. And if I remember correctly, you mentioned that you're working with some of the Asian companies, including Japanese companies. So if it's okay, I would like to know what kind of companies are having some kind of contribution to your project to have better idea and better understand the plan that you are elaborating. If it's confidential, that's I'm not asking too much, but if it's okay.
Yes, okay. What we did is that we have FDI in those locations. What I would do, I'll put you in touch with our FDI company in Japan, you know, and once Adams wants to say, look, they can talk to you freely, you know, they will tell you what they are doing in Japan.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Okay. Yes. That's perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I believe we have time for one more question.
Well, I have about 4 or 5. So, Dr. Dal, you know, thank you very much. Now, this is a trial run for what might be a Catapult. I'm Vivek Mittal. I run Africa Infrastructure Development Association, and you know, when we get to Kigali, the idea is that we'll have actually probably less time than you've had today, in which to put forward. So there were many things that, you know, your presentation raised a number of questions, which I'll put to you one by one and give short answers, and we can talk about it later. So first one, you know, an introduction about yourself. Why is it that you are doing this project, and what is the challenge what is the opportunity you're grabbing in the Nigerian economy, in the shortest time possible, in the simplest way possible?
Okay, let me put this way. It's beyond business. I have done this in different places, and I think I have very good experience. The thing started really with the last government. They wanted to reposition the economy, diversify the economy. And I became a member of the team. So it's from the advice of what they're going to do. And when it turned out that the government cannot do it within the government system, I volunteered to, drive it as a private sector, from private sector angle. But beyond that, at a point in your life, I used to say something that one of my professors said something. He said, you have two important dates in your life: when you are born and when you find out why. So at a point in my career, it's like, I'm meant for this, because everything I did within my work life and all that, it looks like preparation to do this. So, I don't have the time. The story of my life is funny. I went to the university to read medicine and ended up in environmental sciences. So this thing is like, this is what I am supposed to do. And it's a contribution I want to make to the country. So that's a short answer. Maybe when we see in Kigali, I will tell you more. I will tell you more interesting stories.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but during the presentation, you might not get that much time. But you showed a number of maps, and it would have been helpful to see one map where it is, where the site is, and for you to explain in context what 10,000 hectares is actually, what kind of population would come in, how much, what is the strategic significance of that site? So that is one area. I'm not asking you to respond right now, but I'm just giving you some feedback.
Okay.
In terms of the project timeline, so you've got 10,000. What is the minimum level threshold of success? I.e., what population, how many industries, what would you see by when? So the project takes 15 years to get to wherever you want to. Is that success? If you get only I don't know, 1,000 people come and live over there, is that success? Parameters of success is what you're defining yourself.
Yeah.
Then, overall, we also recommend that you have an overall budget for what is the total project going to cost? Where are the different elements you expect from debt, equity, grants, government support, etc., that comes in? How are you making money? That's a crude way of putting it, but very simply, what is the return that investors could hope to get? And actually, the point of being part of a Catapult is to actually be able to ask very clearly, to put forward what is your ask in terms of how much money are you looking to raise? What partnerships are you missing that will make the project successful? So these are 4 or 5 things that struck me as you were speaking, and hopefully we'll get to a point over the next couple of months where we can condense that presentation and make it sort of that much more interactive and supportive. So if you want to respond to any of that, please do. I'm conscious this time.
Yeah, I have answers to all, but it's many questions in one. I don't know where to start. I didn't jot all of them. So we have thought through all that. You can't do a project of this size at a go. You have to prove a concept. That's one. So we're doing it in phases. The phase 1 is 1,490 hectares and includes the first industrial township and the logistics. And we are planning to build it out in 4 years, right? And the entire project has a 30-year span. I won't be around because I'm 70 already. So I will not be around in 30 years to build it out. So with the things we are going to do, each of the time I'm still going to be around, and the reason is planned out. The total cost of the estimate was about $4 billion. You can't get that kind of money from anybody, anywhere in the world to do new city in Africa. Now, the first phase, we've closed on the financing. We did 70 debt. We did 30% equity. That's good for us. And how are you going to earn money? what you do simple land company, right? If you want to do a new city in Africa, that's your best bet. I had a lot of argument with World Bank because World Bank was on the project. They want you to build the city as a going concern. It's not going to work in Africa because you don't have data. But do a land company. How much does it cost you to recover 1 square meter of land? What are the uses you can put into that land? And who will use it? You will get people that will use it. Very simple, cost accounting. So if you do that, you're good. And that's what we have done. And that doesn't mean that we're not going to build out the listen. We have many companies now. They want factory. They want us to build the factories for them. Some want to lease. Some want to lease for some time and pay. Some want to buy and pay over time. So that's a different kind of arrangement we're having with banks and constructors. So that's how you do this to work in Africa. If you want to do those, even Subhana Jurang, you want to do those model where you build everything. The 100 companies will come in 1 year. This one will come. It's not going to work here because you don't have data to make those projections. Okay. What other thing? Do I remember? So if we get to Kigali, we can see it. I will tell you that doesn't mean that we have everything is that we will benefit from experience of people that have done this and the experience of people that are doing this. You know, there are things they will tell us that could modify our own views and the things that could help us, kind of think better what we have thought out completely before. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, there is some water to cross over here in order to make this. I mean, we'll talk further, but thank you very much. I mean, I'm really conscious that we've taken up most of your time. If you want to get, Carl, do you want to move on with the?
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Darrell. We appreciate it. Unfortunately, we need to move on, but we get to move on and listen to John Vanden, who will discuss his project, Small Farm Cities. John, whenever you're ready, you may go ahead and share your presentation and begin.
All right. Thank you very much. And let me, just in the interest of time, Carl, why don't we do a time check? I assume we're wrapping up at the top of the hour.
So I have it scheduled out to 10:15. So you still have your full 30 minutes.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, let me try to move through this fairly quickly so we can get to questions. My company is called Small Farm Cities, and we are currently operating in Malawi. And we describe ourselves as an ultra affordable tech-enabled city starter. What you might say is the project we just heard about and then Small Farm Cities are almost like two sides of the same coin, where a small farm city is essentially a way of organizing new settlements at the ultra affordable category. And what we've done is we've really focused on affordability from the perspective of we're talking about incomes between $50 and $500 per month. How do you organize viable for-profit economic clusters for incomes somewhere between $50 and $500 per month, which is where 90% of working class Africans find themselves? And so a small farm city is essentially blending hyper affordable housing with agricultural production knit together with micro municipal infrastructure and technology. So that is essentially what a small farm city is. Now, defining affordability, I think, is really important because there are so many conversations about economic development that occur, but I'm not sure how many of those conversations are actually realistic in terms of what is affordable for where 90% of the African people are. And so we define affordability between $50 and $500 per month in terms of spending power to meet basic needs. So the question is really, how do you build affordable systems? And a small farm city is, in essence, a system for affordability, addressing housing, food security, nutrition, education, health, transport, essentially many different parts. And then a small farm city is the sum of those parts. Now, from a big picture perspective, now just sort of taking a 30,000-foot view, as we build these ultra affordable clusters, we're looking at a couple different pressures. We're looking at enormous population pressure sort of across the continent. So our objective isn't really to build a small farm city, one small farm city. Our objective is to build a small farm city system, essentially a replicable, scalable system, so that we can help organize and be a contributor to organizing this dramatic increase in population. It actually translates into something like 10,000 new cities over the next 27 years of 100,000 population or more. So there's a tremendous amount of population pressure. And so Small Farm Cities is designed specifically to be a bankable way and an affordable way to finance this type of growth. Now, let's start with the most basic problem. Most of Africans depend on agriculture, yet Africa's commercial ag sector is not bankable. So it really starts with a lack of property rights, a lack of title, which then translates into unbankable farming, no municipal utilities or services, and substandard education and healthcare. This is where the charter of charter cities comes in for a small farm cities, and why I think this morning or this afternoon you're getting sort of two sides of the same coin. We actually all need smart charters that help organize the housing, the agriculture, the money into viable systems. So a small farm city in a nutshell is a bankable model that can scale. What we've built in Malawi is a prototype of a small farm cluster. And so what we're doing in Malawi is we're essentially organizing in economic modules. We have built the technical cluster that is operating. We are closing financing on now to scale up to a 1,000 person community hub. It's about a $750,000 project, organizing a population of about 1,000 people. We are essentially building out modules that when modules are then brought together, when 10,000 person modules are brought together, they can essentially form the subdivisions of 100,000 person or even 1 million person city. And for this, we're actually engaged with the Malawi National Planning Commission to use small farm cities as an organizational method for their secondary cities initiative. Now, all of this doesn't matter if we don't make money. And this goes to Vivek's point earlier. So we build fast, we cash flow fast, we really focus on training and hiring great talent at different levels, and then we build premium client relationships. So we've scaled quickly over the last we've been around for about 18 months. We've scaled people, infrastructure, and we've driven weekly income through our combined income of our vegetable production, housing, eggs, and fish farming operations. We use simple, proven methods and technology generating good income and meeting international standards. We start with empty land that's titled. We can essentially then set up our own startup city charter. It's a private charter. It's a private company, achieving substantial cost savings and affordability while creating a platform for mass adoption of technology and innovation. So what we're really building here is a toolkit for 1 trillion African savings investment infrastructure. It's a toolkit, it's a method. And what we're building and essentially prototyping now in Malawi in real time is essentially the building blocks of that kind of approach. It's when you bring together the various parts, electricity, water, healthcare, education, and fundamentally when you bring together income generation, that is actually when you create something greater than the sum of the parts. And that's really what a small farm city is designed to do. Affordability for 90% of the African population will be a direct result of better coordination and better and more targeted and more efficient use of limited resources, and fundamentally a methodology that makes money for everyone, because everyone at the end of the day needs to make money. We have focused on recruiting great talent. I put a premium on different types of talent. We have African college graduates. As we all know, unemployment among college graduates in Africa is over 50%. So we've created great, exciting career tracks for young college graduates. So we have a management group in Malawi, about 10. They come from different backgrounds. Some are agronomists, some majored in communications, some majored in Bible. So what we've created is a really fun mix of management and then skilled trades. We have a skilled trade track for plumbers, carpenters, welders, landscapers, transport and logistics. We have a skilled track as well as then an entry-level track. So as I mentioned, we're now closing financing. We're very excited. We hope to have announcements in the next 10 days relating to our next phase of development, which is a 500 to 1,000 person tech-enabled community in Malawi. Again, it's a prototype scale with about 10 to 15 acres of land, about 150 to 200 affordable homes, and then about 150 to 200 jobs. So we are also about to launch a mortgage program funded independently so that we can begin to offer mortgages starting at about $700. And this mortgage program will generate, it's a for-profit mortgage program designed to generate returns of 7% for the investor at a rate of 10% for the borrower. So our VC, we're still seed round prototype financed. Our financing comes from a group called Pronamos Capital out of San Francisco. The general partner is Patrick Friedman, grandson of Milton Friedman. Pronamos Capital invests in early stage new city, startup city projects, and we are essentially their flagship in Africa. So, Carl, I'll turn it back to you for questions.
Awesome. Thank you very much, John. And I'm happy to answer or happy to have any questions fielded. Vivek, once again, I guess we'll turn to you first.
John, very well, very succinctly put, and of course, there's a lot of detail that goes to it. The location of the pilot, the proof of concept, is that next to an existing city? Why did you choose that location? Where are the people who are going to be living there coming from, and why would they move?
Sure. So, Vivek, we are essentially a suburb of the capital city of Lilongwe. We very intentionally are organizing small chunks of land. I have been working in Africa for 15 years. I've been involved in very large land concession transactions in Ghana and Nigeria, and they are very complex. They can be very controversial. So we are actually organizing these clusters on much smaller pieces of land as we build out the concept. And it also helps ensure a very healthy demand for our product. So we are essentially a suburb of the capital city of Lilongwe. Our next project, Vivek, will actually be about 5 kilometers from the newly developed titanium mine in Malawi. We will be setting up about 5-10 kilometers from Kasia in Malawi, which is a new titanium mining operation organized by Sovereign Metals out of Australia. And so we will actually, the next project, be developing it's still a suburb, essentially a suburb distance from the capital city, but we will sit between the titanium mine and the capital city. And we're also very close to the East African Railroad that goes from Zambia to the Nacala port in Mozambique, and it intersects with Lake Malawi. So this is our geographic footprint at the moment.
And the same question as I asked, Dr. Dahl, what is how investors? How do they expect to make? How much money do they expect to make, and in what time frame?
Sure. So there's really two types of investment here. There's sort of an immediate cash flowing return, so that our objective is essentially generating a healthy sort of 10 to 20% IRR on invested capital. But what we're really doing is we are building a prototype that can be adopted as policy. So we are looking at ultimately a financing that would be built around municipal bonds. So there's sort of the short term, kind of at this prototype scale, it is essentially a position in a methodology, the IP. That's why we're also discussing projects right now in other countries, because what we're really doing is we're really focusing on a tech-enabled methodology that can then be adopted in various places. But from a long-term perspective, it really will, I think any kind of large-scale urban development, by definition, almost needs to be a PPP. And so what you might say is that we're really building a PPP solution for this expansive population growth. As far as we know, we're the only business in sub-Saharan Africa focused on sort of this ultra affordable category, blending the housing, the infrastructure. And so from a long-term perspective, in terms of returns on investment, it's both the IP and the methodology, as well as the cash flowing of the real estate, the underlying real estate that we're developing.
Okay. I'm happy to cede to others, but if time permits, please talk about what surprises, good and bad, have you encountered so far. But please take questions from others first.
I was going to ask, just for interest sake, how do you do acquisition? Do you get the land from government, or do you get it from community? How do you do land acquisition? And what are you going to do about power? Are you doing independent power or renewable, or you're taking from the grid of the countries you're operating in? Yeah, just for interest. What you're doing is interesting.
Sure. Yeah. So at this phase, it's private land, freehold private property. So the way we're organized is around privately titled property, and it is essentially it's a 99-year lease on privately titled property. And so for the next phases, for the PPP phase, I'm sure we'll be looking at sort of government related land concessions, but I'm not at that point yet. In terms of power, we already use solar. We will be building a solar mini grid at our next site. We're already using solar at our current site, but we'll also be connected to the power grid. So in terms of scalability, we sort of are at our geographic dynamic makes solar extremely competitive with grid power, and we actually don't use a lot of power, and we create a lot of jobs, but we don't use a lot of power. So we're looking at a hybrid model of both sort of renewable power and then being connected to the national grid.
Thank you.
Looks like Olufemi, you have a question?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Olufemi Badigo once again. I'm the trade officer for the Nigerian British Chamber of Commerce here in Nigeria. We help, the B2B between Nigeria and the UK. My question for you, John, is in terms of like the job creation. I saw like a list of career paths that you're trying to help people bring people into. And they were more of like manual skills, if I'm correct. So is there like opportunities for them when they're done learning that, you've helped enhance their skills? Are there opportunities for them to work somewhere else? Or what's the plan for that, after helping them out, with those skills?
The question was a little, I'm not sure I caught the whole question, but I think you're asking about skills and then advancement and opportunity. So we are focused on sort of universal skill and education development. So wherever they're coming in, we work to advance it. So two of our top managers from Malawi are now participating in a Stanford Business School, Stanford Seed executive education. So these are two young professionals from Malawi now involved in an executive education with Stanford University. Our welders, plumbers, trades are learning advanced skills, and our objective is for them essentially to replicate themselves and to scale. Our entry-level professionals in our greenhouses, we place a heavy emphasis on basic learning. So everyone, even if they've just come in off the street, everyone needs to be migrating toward learning English, getting a high school education equivalency. Finally, the key point to all of this is everyone is on an ownership track. So we're migrating our people into ownership. So we're, in terms of career advancement, our upper level management, our training of upper level management is we need them to become qualified to build small farm cities, to organize across disciplines, the agronomy, the finance, the management, all the key disciplines. So we teach our agronomists, we teach them finance. We teach our communications, our HR people, we teach them agronomy. We're looking for cross-cutting skill sets. Our plumbers are also learning carpentry. Our carpenters are also learning basic plumbing and electrical. So we're very focused on professional development because, as I mentioned, cash flow fast, scale fast, we build fast. So everything you see if you go to our website and you see small farm cities and our prototypes, we built that in about 90 days. And it's all because we have highly motivated people that are kind of in a continuous advancement mode.
Thank you very much for that. That was helpful.
Do we have any more questions for John?
I would come back to the one I posed him before we left out. John, do you want to take that up?
Remind me of that one. Sorry, Vivek.
I've also forgotten. It'll come back. We'll have a chat separately offline.
Awesome. Well, if there's no more questions, I think we'll wrap up.
Carl, if I could just do a quick wrap up, and that is
please do, John.
And that is to Darrell. I see we see small farm cities as a partner of projects like yours, because food security, employment, but also organizing a platform for large scale aggregation. I produce already about 10 metric tons of tomatoes a week. So I'm already, and this is just at the prototype scale. So what happens with hyper efficient sort of production is you can actually start to have conversations about large scale manufacturing, processing. And you mentioned DP World. I was head of e-commerce for Africa for DP World in Rwanda. That's where we built our sort of first platform for Dubai.com with DP World. And so I'm keenly aware sort of that the pressure for DP World in terms of their investments in infrastructure is the need for large scale aggregation. this is what's stunting Africa's coffee, tea, every commodity that Africa produces. Its development trajectory is stunted by the lack of coordination. So look at small farm cities, and I guess I would encourage all of the guests on this call to look at small farm cities as a piece of the puzzle, because what we're really doing is we're organizing agricultural production into bankable scale, into global supply chain scale. And we're doing it in such a way that the Africans are actually making money. Like, our focus is making money. So, we want investors to make money, but we also want the African producer to start making real money and start to migrate from the informal, unbankable to formal and bankable. And move people on that trajectory. So anyway, I just mentioned this, and I look forward to meeting.
John, you're very right. Now, we are doing almost the same thing in a different way. We are looking at it as raw material for industries. We call it farm settlements, right? We're working with NALDA, Nigerian Agricultural Land Development. That's why I was asking you, are you getting the land from the private sector or from government? This is a model that we can use well. We are saying the farm settlements will become raw material centers for what we're going to do in agricultural processing. So we have done mapping of like about 12,000 and NALDA has a lot of land. So if you do it in conjunction with government, it's easy. And the communities don't import people. You see, when you build a population that is foreign to a community, especially in a place like Nigeria, you have a lot of problems. It's like you're coming to take their land. But if you build it within the community for the community and do what you're doing beyond the farm, education, healthcare, all that as add-on is going to work very well. We'll talk when we get to Kigali. I think part of the thing Charter Cities is doing is bringing all these ideas together. We can leverage on what somebody is doing, find partnerships that will support what you're doing, will support what you are doing. I think that it's, I'm happy about, I listened very carefully. I'm happy about what you're doing. It's a no-brainer. Well done.
Sounds great.
Yes.
Thanks, Carl.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Dr. Darrell, John, thank you both very much for your presentations today. Everyone, this has been recorded. Effectively, what will happen, we'll publish the recording. I'll send a follow-up email. Thank you very much. I would also like to announce that we will have 2 more of these mini Catapult pitch events on September the 30th and October the 11th, leading up to our summit in Kigali. And of course, the Africa's New Cities Summit, hosted by the Charter Cities Institute with the Catapult Accelerator, co-hosted by AFIDA, will be November 16th to 18th in Kigali, Rwanda. And if you have not yet purchased your tickets, I encourage you to do so. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much.